My name is Wes Rodriguez, and welcome to another exciting episode of Sink or Swim. And let's just get into it. Let's get dirty. Let's get filthy, everybody. Just rub it all over you. Put your face in it. I got all dirty this week. We got down and dirty. I almost died, too. I made the fatal mistake. Well, I guess it's not fatal. I'm sitting here talking to you, but it could have been fatal. Sure felt like I was going to die. I rode my scooter to work on a day that was scheduled for rain. I'm the foolish person that doesn't like to use the media for the wonderful tools that it can offer you, like foretelling the weather. I have the app and everything on my phone, and I still don't fucking use that shit. And I sure paid for it. Ugh. Just thinking of it is just bringing shudders to my body. So I exited my door, and I just took a look around, and I realized, you know what, it could rain. You know, the thought went through my brain, but I didn't follow through. I thought I was invincible. And frankly, I didn't think it was going to rain. I didn't. It looked good out there. And it looked a little cloudy, but I didn't see any like grays rolling in. It didn't feel like there was humidity in the air. You know, that smell that goes to your nose when you're like, wow, yeah, tot, it smells like rain. So I jumped on my scooter and I headed off to work. On every break, I would glance outside and make sure I was all right, and it didn't seem wet at all. People were telling me that it was sprinkling, and it seemed fine. So I was anxious, though. If I had the opportunity to leave work early, I certainly was going to. We were all caught up on work, and they gave me about a half-hour leeway to take off if I wanted to, so I left work. It was drizzling. It was sprinkling just a little bit. I didn't think it was going to hit hard, and I thought I was all right. And a few blocks away, it starts pouring. Like buckets were just dumping down on me. It felt like, you know what, rain, I've never been without cover from the rain and going at like 50 miles an hour. I had my sunglasses on and a helmet, and it sure felt like it felt very painful. And I'm like, you know, the rain shouldn't feel this painful, or am I just a fucking pussy? I want to pull over and ride this one out. I came to an intersection, and there was at least 3 inches of rain that was rushing down, and I hesitated, but I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop in the middle of the street. So I plowed through it, and water sprayed around me, and people were flying by me and dousing me, and I was wearing I had a jacket, a hooded jacket, but it had canvas material, so I was immediately just soaked to the bone. And as I proceeded through the intersection, I felt a little comfortable, like, okay, well, if it gets a little thick underneath me, I can be all right. So I just stayed at a decent, safe speed and managed to make it through the intersection. I'm like, all right, well, this isn't so bad. So long as it doesn't hurt my face as much, I can make it home, I think. And less than a block later, I'm cowering from the rain. I'm looking down to my left side at the waist just to keep from my face being directly impacted by the rain. And I came to another intersection where it looked like there was at least almost like a foot of water rushing underneath me. It must have been like 8 inches, 9 inches of water, and cars were going slow in front of me, and I plowed through it, and it got very scary. Water came up over my deck on my scooter, and I slowed way down, and it felt like my engine was about to stall out, and it just trudged through. It got very, very wet. And I just pushed through. And by that time, all the water was soaking down from my shoulders into my shirt underneath. And then it was creating a steady stream of water down into my crotch and which was puddling up now on my seat, and very, very uncomfortable situation, you can imagine. And I was needless to say, I was absolutely miserable. I was fucking scared, to be honest with you. I don't want cars behind me like running me over because they can't see because of the rain. It was that thick, and I'm like, I have to wait this out. So I pulled over into the nearest parking lot, and I got out and noticed that I had survived hail coming down because it was white everywhere, and there was hail built up in corners of the buildings and by the cars, and then it all made sense, you know, how miserable I was and how cold it was getting. And so I remember saying to myself, oh my God, is it really pouring? I mean, can it just sprinkle? Oh, fuck. Boy, this fucking hurts. Is this fucking hail? Does it really have to hail? And then I'm like, really? Water rushing through the fucking intersections. It was dry like 10 minutes ago. Is it pouring down that fast and building up in front of me that I'm fucking about to die? It's just like, it just kept getting worse. Like, I kept asking myself, really? 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 Does this have to happen? Oh, fuck. So I pulled over and hunkered down and found myself some shelter to wait it out, and I must have waited about 10 minutes, and it cleared up enough for me to make it through. And I found a street that was wide enough that water wouldn't be collecting up on it, and intersections that didn't have water just rushing down like wading through rapids. So I made it home safely, but I was drenched to the bone. I felt like a homeless dog. So I hung all my clothes in my shower, let them all drain and dry out. But my God, I was scared to the bone. Took me a while to wind down and relax. Never would have imagined jumping on a scooter could bring that much reality. And as scared as I was, I've never felt so alive. I want to do it again, to be honest with you. The closer you get to death, the more alive you feel in this world. But my scooter didn't fare so well. It's hesitating on even starting, so I have some mechanical issues to worry about and bugs to fix on my little engine. And that was one little conflict. It seems like there's a lot of bugs inundating my life as of recent. I did not put up a Wednesday show due to the fact that my computer had decided to take a giant shit on my chest. I think my computer is female. It likes to humiliate me and degrade me and build me up and then take me down. I was looking forward to interviewing my mom and putting together I think it is destined to be a good show, and it is still in the works. For some reason, I was trying to record a conversation via Skype, and my computer just did not agree with me, and it was very unhappy. I find it helps to anthropomorphize my computer. Inanimate objects in my life tend to gather their own personalities, and it got sick, and it decided that it needed to cease from performing for me. When it comes to recording a podcast with a telephone call, it's not so simple. Or maybe I'm just complicating it more than I should. I don't know how they do it professionally. I'm sure they have an operating system where they can just patch it into the stream or the recording, but I'm using Pro Tools, and I'm just pre-recording, editing, and then uploading. I have no live stream, so I don't know how to incorporate a phone call into a Pro Tools recording. So I think I just need to break it down into real simple factors and just point the fucking mic at the cell phone while I'm talking. See how that works out. I'm pretty sure that's the simplest, easiest way to pull this off. But I wanted to play clips too, so that my mom could be hearing a clip and then commenting on it at the same time. Who knows what we're going to do? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, but it will come. I feel like there was a perfect opportunity to do a Field of Dreams reference there, but I'm not going to do it. It's too hacky. The local computer repair store helped me launch my Pro Tools so I can get it recorded going, so I can put something up this weekend. But that will explain why I did not have a Wednesday show uploaded, and I apologize for that. I will make up for that and put one up this Wednesday, absolutely, for sure. So again, my apologies to the audience. And moving on, I was having a conversation with a friend, and he brought up something that I'm familiar with. He's trying to shake off his impulse to perpetuate a sexual relationship with his ex-girlfriend. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can sympathize with this situation. You're a single guy. You're a single guy and you want to get laid. And things ended smoothly with your ex-girlfriend, so you kind of stay in touch, which affords you the opportunity to have sex with her once in a while. And that's fine, you know. In my opinion, that's not bad. Unless you're trying to restructure your life and lay down the basis for a family, you know, move on, trying to settle down and become an actual functioning man in a relationship and contribute towards the structure of a family. And I don't know, he may be in that stage. I mean, why would he even think about cutting off the opportunity to get laid? But the easiest advice I came up with for him, and I'm sure anybody, not too many guys realize it, that we spend a lot of time and money and energy for the simple pleasure of the orgasm. That is a driving force to most men's desires and ambitions. Wars are fought and won. Fortunes are earned and lost. Masterpieces are created. Civilizations are discovered and founded. All on the power of pussy. As my friend Chris Teagarden says, pussy pulls a train. It has that much power. So I told him, well, I mean, what is your goal? What is the end game? You know, and I'm like, are you trying to settle down? Well, I don't know about that. I need to stop seeing her. And my solution is this, man. Before you pick up the phone, before you respond to her call or text message, rub one out. Just jerk off. Get that fucking seed out of your body and watch how all impulse and urge just washes down the drain like the tissue paper you just emptied your balls into. And he agreed with me. I don't know if he's going to practice that, but it's helped me. I've come to points in my life where I'm like, man, I just want to have sex. I just want to get laid. And, you know, I settle for women that I would be ashamed of being seen with and embarrassed by. You feel horrible afterwards. I don't practice this anymore because the aftermath, the refractory period after you fucking come, you feel horrible about yourself and ashamed. And then you're caught up with, there's a person in front of you. How do you escape them? You know, do you care about their feelings? And I'm not a narcissist. I would not get myself into the situation to hurt someone else's feelings just for the outcome of having an orgasm. It's, you know, when I was younger, when I didn't think too much, too deeply, I would not even hesitate. I would jump all over that, you know, just get the seed out of my body and help me do that, please. And then I will help myself to leaving the premises or helping you out into your car to leave, or mine, or the bus, or a taxi. But I wonder how much pain and suffering could have been saved if a man had simply jerked off before he proceeded with his actions, you know. And a lot of people out there do not condone pornography, and I'm sure that a lot of misery comes along with that business. But if there wasn't an outlet for a lot of men out there, that the urge would overwhelm them and they would do really bad things. So with pornography as an outlet for men of simple minds but tremendous urges and mental dysfunction, I'm sure there's a lot of pain and misery that's being saved simply because a guy can watch porn and jerk off and get it out of his system. If it wasn't available, I'm sure there'd probably be a lot more crime out there. So in my mind, I do support pornography. However, I will pose my mother the same question, and I'm sure that it'll be an interesting conversation. So look forward to that. I will put Mom on the hot seat and probe her about her platform when it comes to pornography. It should be interesting. I should give a little background to my mom. My mom was raised in a religious environment in Grand Rapids, Michigan, with a dedicated family. Her parents stayed married her entire life, so she was raised in a wholesome environment. She went to college. I believe she has a master's in anthropology. She is an intellectual, and she raised a family by building a career as a teacher in the Los Angeles Unified School District. Got a lot of war stories. Eventually, she moved out of that district into a private sector. And she rose up to the ranks from being a substitute teacher all the way up to vice principal, I believe. And she's aligned herself with the intellectuals in life and more religiously inclined people and family-oriented people. She is remarried. And when it comes to a moral barometer in my life, I will always turn to her for advice. And for more worldly advice, I would probably approach my father or my circle of friends. So that is a little background of where I come from when it comes to how I was raised from the mother's point of view. And I'm looking forward to sitting her down and get her opinions of the world we live in and pick her brain about the subjects of pop culture and entertainment. So look forward to that. And speaking of entertainment, I guess that would be a beautiful segue into one of my favorite segments. Sink or Swim presents
Voiceover YouTube Theater.
Okay, group, we have some newcomers here today with us. Say hello to Scott and his father, Mr. Avil?
Ever, actually. Dr. Evil.
Hello, Dr. Evil. Hello, Scott.
Hello, everybody.
So, Scott, why don't we start with you? What brings you here with us today?
Well, I just really met my dad for the first time 5 days ago.
I was partially frozen his whole life.
That is beautiful that you can admit to that.
And he comes back, and now he wants me to take over the family business.
But Scott, who's gonna take over the world when I die?
Listen to the words he used. Who's going to take over the world when I die? Feels like that to some of us sometimes, doesn't it? So, what do you want to do, Scott?
I don't know. I was thinking I like animals. Maybe I'd be a vet.
An evil vet?
No. Maybe like work in a petting zoo.
An evil petting zoo?
You always do that!
What? All right.
I just think like he hates me. I really think he wants to kill me.
Now, Scott, we don't want to kill each other in here. We might say that we do sometimes, but we really don't.
Actually, the boy is quite astute. I really am trying to kill him, but so far unsuccessfully. He's quite wily like his old man. And scene.
This episode of VoiceOver YouTube Theater was brought to you by forces and abolish their insolence. And to just get up out of bed and start your day. Every package of Starwalker brand coffee is produced only by androids from the planet Tatooine. All proceeds go to the aid of cancer research.
And there you have it, folks. Another staggering episode of VoiceOver YouTube Theater. Listening to that Star Wars reminds me of a documentary style movie that I watched on this Saturday. Excuse me. Sorry. I wonder if I should leave that in. Bless me. I watched a documentary on exploitation films. Like cheap B-rated movies filmed with a really low budget. And in the 60s, late 60s, I think it was the early 60s and late 60s, a number of American directors, Roger Corman especially, would do most of his work in the Philippines, where they could get away with a lot of the strict guidelines of Hollywood and using the local people and the army, hiring them really cheap and pretty much they called it, using what they call the 3 B's: blood, beasts, and boobs, or babes. They pretty much just had topless girls running around or showing their asses and shit, and these horribly put together monsters. But this was back when you didn't see too many monster movies, and they could get away with a lot of just twisted content and crazy plots, and we gave you insight on how directors got around using what they had instead of using what they had to pull off special effects and locations, cast, and they use Star Wars as an example because George Lucas and Spielberg with Jaws got away with using, you know, cheap products and just filming it a certain way, using the tricks of the camera to pull off what's been deemed, you know, critically acclaimed cinematography that will go down in history. But they'll never admit that they got a lot of ideas from Roger Corman, who pretty much resorted to just making really low quality movies with high entertainment value, at least for its time. So if anybody's out there, if any of you are buffs for like Mystery Science Theater and those cheap movies and making fun of them with a bunch of friends, it would be awesome if the Cinematic Titanic or any of those guys that put together Mystery Science Theater could get their hands on any of like Roger Corman's movies or the Filipino directors from the late 60s exploitation films, and that could be really funny material. But I found it interesting learning about the background of these directors, and I think you guys might find it interesting, so check it out. It was Machete Maidens Unleashed. Machete Maidens Unleashed. That's the title of the documentary. And Filipino genre films of the late 60s to the 80s. Boasting cheap labor, exotic scenery, and non-existent health and safety regulations. The Philippines was a dreamland for exploitation filmmakers whose renegade productions were soon engulfing drive-in screens around the globe like a tidal shockwave. So says IMDb plot description. So check that out, folks. I found it fascinating and hilarious and sexy. A lot of titties. Back when the screen wasn't inundated with silicone. Natural boobs. Real tits rule. All right. Okay, everybody. Well, I guess I will throw you all some life preservers and then call it a show. I did have an audition scheduled, but I had to postpone that because I didn't know when I was going to get my recording studio back in order. Now everything is together. Look forward to another audition. An elderly gentleman who has an entertaining story, and we built a fine rapport. So all I got to do is worry about getting him to the studio in one frail piece, and we will lay down a track. Moving on to my final segment. And now, Sink or Swim will throw you some life preservers. All right, folks. Give someone a back rub. Except if it's in the workplace, where you will soon find out your employer's open door policy. Do not expect praise or reward. I was just talking to my mom about that. I don't think anybody can do anything out of goodwill without like half-heartedly hoping somebody is watching you do that. Make 2 casseroles and bring 1 to a friend. Yeah, well, I don't think I've ever made a casserole. Make 2 and then give 1 away. Bachelor casseroles do not count, it says in parentheses. Welcome immigrants who work hard. I had a friend point out to me, you don't see too many Mexican guys on the side of the freeway holding signs asking for money. Well, you can expect Mexican immigrants to be working hard, that's for sure. Eat only until you are no longer hungry. Yeah, America could use that. Work to music. Or podcasts. Help someone assemble the ingredients for cooking. And then stick around to eat it. Yeah. Make bird feeders to encourage avian visitors. And we'll wrap it up with do less, be more. Do less and be more. That reminds me of a saying I heard a while ago and I try to live by. Small people talk about people. Average people talk about places. Exceptional people talk about ideas. And there you go, folks. And that will wrap it up. Our email address is soswithwam@yahoo.com. Twitter is the same, soswithwam. And Facebook at SOS space WITHWAM. Thank you all for being you and not being me. Tune in next time. My name is Wes Rodriguez, signing off. What's your dream?